Altogether, a strike group might include 7 to 10 ships, more than 70 aircraft, and over 7,500 sailors. That's more firepower than an entire navy of most countries. A single U.S. strike group could overwhelm the defenses of many regional powers, and Washington has multiple strike groups deployed at once. For adversaries, the sight of one approaching the horizon is sobering. The carrier itself is powerful, but a carrier strike group is a floating military base with its own layered defenses, reconnaissance assets, and strike capabilities. It's designed not just to project power, but to survive under attack. And that's the key. Carriers are valuable, but they're also vulnerable. Hypersonic missiles, submarines, and swarm drones are real threats. Alone, a carrier would be an easy prize, but wrapped in the shield of its strike group, it becomes one of the most resilient and intimidating military forces ever created. The city at sea never sails alone. It moves with an army of ships, an unseen submarine, and a web of radars and missiles that can make it less of a vessel and more of a fortress. A fortress that can appear off any coastline in the world. For all of its size, the aircraft carrier is not a battleship. Its true weapons are the aircraft it carries, but that doesn't mean the ship itself is defenseless. In fact, beneath the calm surface of its steel hull lies an arsenal designed to protect this floating city from threats racing in at supersonic speeds. The most iconic is the CIWS, Close-In Weapon System, nicknamed CIWS. To the untrained eye, it looks like a giant R2-D2 robot bolted onto the deck. But in reality, it's a radar-guided Gatling gun that spits out 20mm rounds at a staggering 4,500 rounds per minute. That's 75 bullets every second, creating a wall of lead that shreds incoming missiles or aircraft in their final seconds of flight. Sailors joke that when the CIWS opens fire, it sounds like a chainsaw tearing the sky apart. Then there are the RIM-116 Rolling Airframe Missiles, or RAM. These compact, high-speed missiles are designed for one job: to destroy anti-ship missiles. They can launch in seconds, twisting and turning in flight to chase down threats traveling faster than the speed of sound. Each launcher carries 21 missiles, enough to repel multiple salvos. Alongside the RAM is the ESSM, Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile. With a range of over 30 miles, it forms the medium layer of defense. Where the RAM hunts threats in the final approach, the ESSM reaches out to kill them earlier, giving the carrier a vital buffer of time. But here's a fact. Compared to its escorts, the carrier's own weapons load is relatively light. The cruisers and destroyers in the strike group carry hundreds of vertical launch missiles, forming the outer ring of defense. The carrier relies heavily on them to keep the most dangerous threats away. Its own guns and missiles are the last line, the emergency shield if everything else fails. The ship also carries torpedo countermeasures to protect against submarine attacks. These include acoustic decoys that mimic the carrier's engine sounds, luring torpedoes away from the real target. Meanwhile, sonar systems listen constantly for the telltale hum of a lurking submarine. And then there's the future. The new Ford-class carriers are being designed with enough electrical power to field laser weapons. Unlike guns or missiles, lasers never run out of ammunition. As long as the reactor provides electricity, they can keep firing. These directed energy weapons promise to knock down drones, missiles, and even small boats at the speed of light. Still, the most important defense weapon isn't hardware, it's awareness. The carrier's radars, scouts, and aircraft extend its eyes far beyond the horizon. Detecting threats early is what keeps the ship alive. By the time the CIWS opens fire, the fight is already at its most desperate moment. So while the carrier is not bristling with cannons like the battleships of old, don't mistake it for unarmed. Its weapons may be few, but they are lethal, precise, and layered with defenses of its escorts. Together, they turn this city at sea into one of the hardest targets on the planet. Life on a carrier may look like routine, but every day is a preparation for war. The crew trains constantly, because when the real threat comes, there's no time to learn, only to react. The drills start small. Fire alarms echo through the ship, and within seconds, sailors race through narrow passageways in full gear, hoses and extinguishers in hand. On a carrier, fire is the ultimate nightmare. A blaze on the hangar deck can destroy jets and threaten the entire ship. Every sailor, regardless of their job, is trained in damage control. Cooks, mechanics, and clerks all know how to seal compartments, patch holes, and fight flames. And then come the combat drills. The sirens wail. General quarters, general quarters, all hands man your battle stations. In minutes, the entire ship transforms. Doors slam shut, watertight hatches are locked, and the city at sea becomes a fortress. In the Combat Information Center, radar operators track mock enemy aircraft. Pilots sprint to their jets for alert launches. Deck crews load inert bombs and missiles for practice runs. And training doesn't just stop at the ship. The carriers take part in massive multinational exercises designed to simulate real war. One of the largest is RIMPAC, Rim of the Pacific, held around Hawaii. During RIMPAC, carriers operate with dozens of allied ships and submarines, facing off in giant mock battles. Missiles are launched, torpedoes fired, and even real ships are sunk as targets. It's the closest thing to war without actual bloodshed. Another high-intensity exercise is Comp2X, Composite Training Unit Exercise. Before deployment, a strike group must pass this grueling task. Over weeks at sea, the Navy throws every possible scenario at the carrier. Air raids, submarine ambushes, cyber attacks, even chemical weapons simulations. It's a test not just of the ship, but every sailor's ability to fight, adapt, and survive under relentless pressure. Failures are not tolerated. Only after passing Comp2X is a strike group certified to deploy. Air wing training is equally relentless. Pilots fly carrier qualifications, repeated takeoffs and landings, day and night, that prove that they can trap safely on the moving deck. Some drills simulate combat missions, strike packages against ground targets, dogfights with aggressor aircraft, and electronic warfare duels with growlers. Even drones are used to mimic incoming missiles, giving gunners and missile crews real practice in shooting them down. And then there are the nightmare scenarios. Swarms of small boats rushing the carrier, salvos of ballistic missiles, hypersonic glide vehicles. No exercise can cover every possibility, but the Navy trains as close to reality as possible. The motto is simple: sweat more in training, bleed less in war. The scale of this training is immense. In one exercise, a carrier air wing might fly 1,000 sorties in a week, dropping live bombs on desert ranges, launching cruise missiles, and coordinating with Marines and Army units ashore. It's not just practice for the Navy, it's a rehearsal for how America fights wars as a joint force. For the sailors, these constant drills can feel exhausting, but they know the truth. When the time comes, their survival depends on it. Because in the real world, there will be no pause, no reset button,